happy to be here on stage. I'm a little bit nervous, but I think that's a good sign. So the talk will be about FOST, the craziness. But before we start, I would like to thank GoT and the team behind the conference for organizing such an amazing thing. And yeah, I'm super happy to introduce this topic to you today. So let's get started. I promise this will be the only advertising. A little bit about Comida Rocks and me. So Comida is about 5,000 it's an open source product. It has about 5,000 hours of development inside, and it combines around 34,000 lines of code. There are 3 corporate customers right now. So there's one in San Francisco, one in Stuttgart, and one in Bangalore. So welcome to our customer from Mercedes, from MBRDI. On our cloud version, there are over 1,000 users registered. And a little bit about me, I'm an IBM champion. I'm based out of Barcelona, which is down here, that's in Spain. And I'm actually father of 5 kids, and I love to speak, I love to test. I'm quite old, so I started testing at the age of 19 when I actually started my internet company. And with that company, I actually took offline Germany for 3 days. So we tested our Edge router at my internet company back in '95. Yeah, and testing that Edge router, we declared our Edge router to be the center of the internet. Yeah, we just wanted to try out what is going to happen to the internet when we declare our Edge router to be the center of it. So we typed that in the command line. Yeah, and it actually took us 5 minutes to go offline. So 5 minutes after entering that command into our router, we were offline. 10 minutes later, I got a phone call from our internet provider, from the German Internet Exchange, which is actually the biggest internet exchange in the world right now. And they asked me, what have you done? Yeah, Germany was offline. Yeah, so that's a little bit about testing and my background. At that time, they didn't call it testing. They called it hacking, I guess. So I really love open source. Since then, I compiled my first kernel back in '84, actually. And so talking about IBM champions, that's a really cool opportunity. Every big company has a promotional network, like IBM has the Champions Network, Microsoft has an MVP, most valued people. Google has Google Developer Advocates. So I encourage you, if you're in the testing space and are working on IBM products. Who's working on IBM products at this company? Nobody? Okay, who's working with Microsoft products? You're working with Microsoft. Okay, who's working with Google products? Everyone? Yeah? Okay, so all of them have those networking opportunities. just go to the website, Google Developer Advocates or IBM Champions, and you will meet, if those companies recognize you, you will meet incredible people inside of those programs. Yeah, so.
First, in case if you meant Bangalore, the map of Bangalore is not that.
I'm wrong. Right. So you found a bug. It's there. Yes, you found a bug. So that's good that you mentioned that.
Maybe it was
there are more bugs in this slide. Please take note of them, and I will give a present to the one that found the most bugs in this presentation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I moved Bangalore to Africa. That's incredible. Okay. So, about the presentation, the key takeaways: open source is secure and innovative. Why? Because with open source, you actually have the possibility to read into the code to understand it. You have the possibility to enhance it, and contributing. Who has contributed to open source? Nobody? Who knows Ralf Roeber? You know him?
Yes, he's one of them.
Okay. Ralf Roeber did his first contribution to open source to Cometa. And I acknowledged his pull request, his merge request, his change on the software. And the very same day he called me and said, "Wow, this is incredible. This is my first contribution. And it feels so good, it feels so great." He was happy to have contributed. Yeah? So contributing to something, adding value to something, creates happiness. Yeah? No code also creates happiness. Why? When people use no code, like business people hate the IT department. Yeah? And when you give power to the people, to the business department, and they can actually solve their problems, that produces happiness inside of them. So, solving problems at work and being happy at work, you take that happiness home when you leave work. Yeah? And traveling from work to home by car, and then having problems on the road, feeling anger, when you take that happiness from your work into your car home, you won't be grumpy at the car cutting you off. Yeah? So happiness, you carry that on. Yeah? And coming home then to your family, you're not angry about the car cutting you off, you're not angry about what happened at work. Yeah? So you're bringing that happiness to your family. Yeah? So no-code has a social impact here. And of course, it's about better software quality that brings money. We've heard that a lot of times. I would like to add here that each trouble ticket costs a huge amount of money. And just one bug example is we had color change on a button. Yeah, and the UI designer decided to change the button from blue to green. Yeah, and we let that go into production. And the day of production, when that hit the users, we got like 500 calls at the help desk. For what? They called the help desk saying, "Where is the blue button?" They were looking for the blue button, which was now green. Yeah, so testing this and thinking about the details actually causes less trouble tickets. It produces happy users, and as we learned before, happiness is contagious. So my talk will be separated in two parts. This is the theoretical part, and then we will go into the command line and actually do some demo stuff. So Is this wrong or right? It's wrong, obviously. So they found out in 323 before Christ. So Albert Einstein was walking on the campus, and he was talking with his trainee, and the trainee said, "But Mr. Einstein, we are asking the same question this year to the students as the year before. Shouldn't we change the questions this year?" And Albert Einstein then answered, "The questions are the same, but the answers are different. Why? Because we learned something the last year." So, 640K of memory is enough. Does anybody know who said that?
Okay.
Bill Gates? Yeah, it's attributed to Bill Gates. That's an error. That's an error. It's actually it's due to Bill Gates selling his operating system to IBM. And IBM engineers had the problem that they needed high memory for their system drivers. Yeah, so IBM engineers said, where do we put our high memory drivers? Well, let's put them above 640K, because 640K is enough. Yeah, but it's actually attributed to Bill Gates. It's back from the 1980s, and nowadays we know that 640K is definitely not enough. So GNU is not Unix. That's from Richard Stallman. It's from '86. It actually took over 30 years to propagate this idea, FOST, free and open source software. And Linux is a flash pan. Does somebody know who attributed this? Who said this? It's also from Microsoft. And it's in the year 1999. So they thought Linux would go away, free and open source software would go away. And today we are at 2022, and we cannot share our tests. Who has shared tests? Nobody? Who has shared test concepts or test ideas? I think some of you have presented test ideas. You shared them, maybe, actually, you share ideas in the test tribe communities. But sharing our tests is impossible. So, we're thinking in a box, we're limited. We have legal limitations on our tests. We have corporate rules that we have to follow. We have tool limitations when we use SaaS services or cloud services. They actually lock us in. We might have personal limitations, and all this limits the sharing of our tests. So what would happen if we take away some of them? We could actually expand our thinking. So this is what FOST is about. And you're going to witness, and this is why I was nervous, you're going to witness something incredible today. Have you heard about FOST before? No? Do you know the meaning? No? Does somebody have internet connection? Yeah? Would you like to look it up, what the meaning is? Fundamental of? Okay, that could be a good idea, yeah. Anybody else?
There are different definitions to Google.
Okay, which one did you find?
Future of storytelling.
Future of storytelling. So, am I talking about storytelling? Anybody else?
From the context, it seems to free and open source testing.
That's it. That's it. Did you find it on Google?
No, not really. It was showing something, training of some army people.
Yeah. Do you have the microphone? It's on the table. So that everybody can hear you, maybe.
It's free and open source software testing.
Okay, but did you find it on Google?
No, not really, but it was showing something else. But from the context, it seems that would be the
Okay, great. Yes, it is about free and open source testing, and that acronym has never been used before. So what you're witnessing today is we will coin this. Yeah, it has never been thought before. I hope that you feel the happiness of being present today and listening to this. Looking back maybe in 10 years or 15 years, you will remember that crazy guy from Barcelona coined FOST. It's still a long journey that we have to take, but I hope you can take that happiness home with you and tomorrow then to work. So here we are on 18th of September, which is actually 9 days after the Testers Day. 9th of September is Testers Day. We celebrated that. Yeah. So it's just 9 days later. That's very easy to remember. Yeah. So every year on Testers Day, remember 9 days later we had this incredible conference in Bangalore, which you are attending, and we together coined FOST. So let's declare our testing is free. So we will do free and open source testing. Wow, doesn't that feel incredible? So let's have some more thoughts and background on this. 6 benefits of open source and testing. It's pace of innovation, 0-day productivity. You cannot read that, small letters, so I will put that on single slides. Pace of innovation. Open source always reduces costs in research and development. It's very agile. We've heard about that a lot. And it actually brings you to out-of-the-box thinking. 0-day productivity. What happens if you use free and open source software? That is something that everybody already uses because people love free and open source software. Who uses free and open source software? A few? Yeah? Who has sent an email today? I guess everybody? Yeah? Who has sent a message on the internet? So you're all using free and open source software. And if you use free and open source software in your company, then your future employees will adapt very fast to your tools that you're using in your companies because they already used it before. Yeah? And it's user and developer sentiment, so it actually improves recruitment. How? Well, if you say to people and offer them to use their tools, which they are used to, and tell them, well, we use, at our company, we use GitHub for versioning. Everybody uses GitHub, so they will be productive from day one, and it helps you on your recruiting process because people will love to be able to use their tools at your company. So, Open source is about peer work, it's about working together. It's about what I said before, Rahul Praval, who contributed to Comida Rocks. Yeah, so I reviewed his change and I found it useful and I gave him a feedback how to enhance it. He enhanced that and sent it back. So it's about working together. Free and open source software is always a peer work. It's always about reviewing, and it impacts actually, has big impact on your learning. And if you contribute, it has a personal impact. Yeah, contributing to open source, you can state that in your CV. You can say, go to GitHub, I have contributed to that project, and that was my piece of code that I contributed, and this piece of code enhanced this product as this. Yeah, you can put that. And it also has positive impact on your company. Yeah, Mercedes has an open source software strategy. Yeah, so whenever employees would like to use new software or bring new software into the company, there's a strategy from top-level management that encourages employees to use open source. Yeah. So, as said before, it contributing creates happiness, and actually helping is something that is intrinsic to human behavior. Yeah? We like to help people. Yeah? So, some more thoughts on this. If we see modern test platforms or architectures, they are well based on Selenium. They use Linux as operating system. We use Chrome. On top of that, maybe all that is open source. Yeah, and we create incredible things, but we don't think about this poor little guy sitting in Nebraska maintaining this piece of code. So what happened last year? In 2019, December 2019, there was this Log4j error. Who experienced problems with Log4j error? Nobody heard of that?
Recently, they have some vulnerabilities regarding
Pardon?
Recently, they have some vulnerabilities, and in the latest builder, they have fixed the same.
They have fixed it. It was a problem in Java code.
Yes.
Yeah, and Log4j is used in almost any Java software.
That's why our application also needs updated for the same.
It's giving me goosebumps. And this poor guy, the maintainer, that was just one single person maintaining Log4j. It's not, this is a meme from internet, it's a joke. Yeah, but this is true. This guy actually had a problem. It was a problem, a design problem in his in the software. Yeah, and he had exactly 3 sponsors when Log4j was published. Do you know how many sponsors he had after 5 days? 5 days after the publishing of the Log4j problem? 200. Yeah. So it's not a joke. This is reality. Yeah. So we are building complex solutions. We're relying in our company on open source. Yeah. But we should also have in mind those people that build all this. Yeah. Help them by contributing or by becoming sponsors. Yeah. And Mercedes is, it's what I said before, it's about reputation. Yeah. Mercedes is now, on world scale, contributor number 11 for Kubernetes. Who has used Kubernetes? You have used Kubernetes? Is it important for your work? Okay, Mercedes is contributing to your daily work. Huh? Okay, so let's see what has all this to do with testing. What is this guy talking about? Huh? I will give you a high-level overview of a test automation platform. So we have the tester, the DevOps, using some front end, and then he does login into the front end. The front end communicates with the back end. It is connected to the database where it stores test cases. All the test cases and stuff is then transformed into Behave, Python, Selenium, ImageMagick. You know all that. You know the tools. We send that to Selenium Hub and steer our browsers or our emulators from there, and then we can test our application. We have to integrate, of course. Everybody wants to see his test results in CI/CD, on Discord, on Slack. We want to have that and get some feedback. We want to get direct feedback, of course, in our browser, so we need some webhooks. And all this gives us easiness if we have such a platform that were presented here at the conference, like Test Rigor. Nice t-shirt. You are probably also using test platforms. Who's using BrowserStack? BrowserStack, some Source Labs? Yeah, so all of them have this. Yeah? And I would also like to have this. I would never like to install this. This is a beast. I mean, you need to install a web server. Who has installed webhooks? Who has used webhooks before? You have installed it? Is it easy?
No.
No?
Actually, it's not.
Okay, who has installed a database and maintained that? That's a full-time job. Yeah. So, and that's the second part why I'm nervous. I will do this in less than 10 minutes. So, ready? Ready to rock? 10 minutes installation? Yeah? Okay, let's go. I will switch to my favorite tool. This is command line, this is Linux. Can you read that? Is that too small? Is that readable? Yeah? Okay. So, I have some Comida project here, some folder. This is actually a virtual box running on my laptop. So we can have a quick look at this. So the system, it has, I gave it 16 megabyte of RAM. It has 6 CPUs, but it will also run on one CPU. And it has 100 gigabyte disk. So that's about this Linux machine. So how do we install that? Well, that's the cool thing that I explained before. It's on GitHub, so we can look it up. So we go into the Comida repository and we find the requirements. So we need Docker install, we need Docker compose, and what we have to do first is git clone. Okay, let's go into my command line. I will create a GoT test, and then go in there and just clone the repository. Downloaded. That was fast. So let's see the second step. So set up at least one authentication provider. So what we have to do is set up this connection. So it's about authentication. Comida uses authentication. You can plug in any authentication provider that you would like. In our example, we plug in something from Google. So we have to go to the Google website, googledeveloper.com. I did that already. I created some Comida demo here, and this is how you actually get the credentials. So we have a client ID here, and we have the password here. Take pictures of that, please, and use that for security testing. Do we have security testers here? So here's the client secret that we need, and credentials. So we copy this, and we have to put this somewhere. We actually have to put that into the directory front Apache conf meta accounts Google. So I prepared that already in my temp directory, and so I prepared that archive already. That's all. Yeah, you can take a picture of that if you want to. And I also prepared another one, and this is why I'm not doing this live. I will not open this archive because this actually connects to our Git server. So we will put this into the directory Comida. So let's just switch to the downloaded stuff. And we have to check out one special branch. So we created this branch actually. So here you see the branches, and I checked out this branch behind proxy. We did this yesterday last night, because I'm on Wi-Fi here, and the Acre Wi-Fi from the hotel is using a self-signed certificate, and this was causing us trouble in the installation. Yeah, so we had to fix that and created a special branch for that because we didn't test it before, and maybe we will merge that later on. So I am on that branch. I will copy my credentials that I prepared from the temp directory to. We have to copy that to, let's see, front Apache, metadata. So we copy that there, and then, oh cool, very nice. Instead of following all the manual setup, you may execute Comida shell to bring up Comida. So okay, so on my virtual machine, it's living, I think, in a different time zone. So it's 10:50. Five minutes. That's all. That's all you have to do. So, we could have a cup of coffee. We could listen to some nice music. I don't know. It's bells from AC/DC. So, music is turned off.
I think
Turn that on.
YouTube audio is off.
Pardon? It's actually 5 minutes playing. So, installing a container for the webhooks for the CI/CD integration. It is installing Behave, Magic, ImageMagick, the Selenium WebDriver, Python, the Comida scripts inside. It is installing the Selenium Hub, and it will install 3 browsers, Opera, Edge, and Chrome. So all the stuff that you saw in the presentation is running right now. So it's installing all this. Any box here is packed and wrapped in a container, and inside of that container we are downloading and compiling stuff. More questions?
How long have you been working on this open source?
We started in 2014 when Mercedes asked us to do a proof of concept on test automation. So since 2014.
What's your team size?
2 people.
Not me.
You have to be really good to move such a beast with just 2 people.
Yeah, great stuff.
You have to be really good in automating. At Mercedes, we're running the world's biggest IBM Partners reporting platform. And over 600 VMwares. There's no bigger IBM on-prem reporting solution on this planet than the one our team is running. So you have to automate everything. And this is the Comida Rock's birthplace is actually coming from that reporting platform, because the business department was bothering us. Did you test that, Ralf? Why didn't you test that? And then I said, I have to automate this. And this is where it started. More questions?
Once this gets developed and then released in the market, will you become the person which you are showing that in your earlier slide? Only one person holding the entire stack or something like that?
I hope not. This is why we're here. I hope not. Right now we are, kind of. But it's open source. If it fails, if it breaks, anybody can fix it. That's a good thing about it. We've learned tools that are licensed, that are closed source. They rely on the same thing. They rely on a company. So who tells you that that company is profitable? Who tells you that that company will be in business for the next 5 years? Yeah. Thanks to open source, you have the source code. If something breaks or you have to fix it, you at least have access to that. So it's still installing. It took 156,000 microseconds to install the JavaScript part. And here we are. So, it already downloaded Edge, Firefox, Opera. It actually installed 4 browsers. Who asked that? Oh, he just left. So it actually installed 4 browsers. It replaced the actual ones. It parsed the browsers into the database. And we are ready to rumble. So that took from 10:50 where we started. Oh well, it didn't take 5 minutes, it took 8 minutes. So let's see that. So let's go to HTTP localhost. And this is insecure because we're using a self-signed certificate. And I will use my other browser because I have the password stored there. So this is authentication. If I use Google, it will actually bring me to Google. I I was already logged into Google, so it logs me in automatically. So we just log out. Nice logout page, have a nice day. I will now use the login for GitLab. This password is really long. This is why I changed the browser. Signing in, redirects. At Mercedes, we're using ping authentication. So that is also possible. And we have a nice Comida tour. We could continue with that, but as I'm here explaining it to you, I would prefer to show it to you. If you want to try it out, you could just go here and then it will do what I will show you now. So up here, you can say create a new feature. And then we go back to our documentation on GitHub because this is our first test. Yeah, we just copy and paste that. And we named this Hello World FOST. And we say this happened on 18th of September 2022. So let's select some browsers, Chrome, and then we have the test definition down here with the test steps. You say just import that. And this test will go to Google, hit the cookie consent button, and then search for Comida Rocks. So we hit the create button, it saves. Ask me, do you want to see it? Okay, blue button, run it. So a fully fledged test automation platform up and running, testing on Wi-Fi, on my laptop in under 10 minutes. Those are webhooks, active feedback. It automatically takes screenshots on the way. Okay, so here's something failed. I waited for 5 seconds and couldn't find button number 2. So what happened here? What happened in my test case? Pardon? Somebody knows? Move mouse to button number 2. So what is button number 2? Huh?
Sign in button.
No.
I think it is pointing to the third element. We don't have the third button.
We don't have the third button?
Yes, I think it is the index.
Yeah.
Who is the index?
Yeah.
But I don't think so we have the third button.
Okay. We are testing Google. And we are in India. If you do the same thing in Germany, Google behaves different. It pops up with a cookie consent. And that's why. So the failing is correct, because we're in India. Yeah? And the test case doesn't fail, it actually goes over this step and said, okay, this is not so important because I can declare that in the test itself, because I can say, okay, continue on failure. Yeah? And this is what makes business people happy. Yeah, because they don't have to go into the source code and fix this. Yeah? If they have timing issues, they just put a new step in and say, okay, don't wait for 1 second, let's wait for 150 seconds. Yeah? And then they think, okay, we want to loop. Yeah? So we want to loop something. So it's just like Googling. So creating test cases with Comida is just like Googling. So we want to loop 5 times, and we start at an index of 1. And then we do a sleeping in the step below, and then we say end the loop. We save it. We run it. And now this very same test will take like 50 minutes. No, 150 seconds is 3 minutes multiplied by 5, yeah, 15 minutes. So why did I do this? Because I wanted to show you a really cool feature. It's this television icon. I can actually connect in my browser to the headless browser running in the background. And I can even interact with it. I can even, as it is Linux, I can even minimize the browser and create a shell. Who has been running headless browsers, Selenium browsers. Who has interacted with that headless browser interactively? You did? Yeah. Did you open a shell on that browser operating system?
No.
It's a shell. Do you want to see the downloads folder? Downloads is not there. So we are at Selenium, and it is actually on, I think it is on the home drive. Yeah, Selenium. /home. Yeah, Selenium. So here's the downloads folder. So we could interact with the browser, download something, and then we would see it right here. So the test is still running. What else can we do? Let's just stop this. I showed you some nice features. It is stopping now. There. The browser's gone. Connection's gone. So we could, maybe we want to change our test again. So who attended the accessibility workshop in the other room? You? You also? I learned something very interesting, that blind people love to use the keyboard. They don't like to use the mouse because they can't see it. Comida has been developed having blind people in mind, because I just have to hit the E button and I'm running out of energy. This was not foreseen. Okay, so I have to stop here. So I would just disable this, disable this, disable this one, save it. And I wanted to show you the scheduling. So we can enable scheduling and run the committer test every minute. Every minute, save that. So it's scheduled now. We can have a PDF export of that. We will see a test overview of all the tests that have been running. We can also see the recording. And inside the recording, eventually, we will also see how I interact with the system. So it's recording my mouse movements in the background. This is testing Comida Rocks. And it will minimize the browser and will open up the shell. So I have 13 minutes left of pause, so that's good. We have a recording. What else? We have 70 predefined steps. All of them are in the help. We can set environments. We can check if CSS selectors are there. We can click on XPath. We can close the browser. We can delete cookies. There are special steps for working with Excel files, thanks to Rupa. What else? There are special steps for IBM, because that's where Comida was born. So we have over 20 IBM steps. What else? Did I miss something?
Parallel execution.
Pardon?
Parallel execution.
Parallel, that's a good, thank you. Parallel execution. So we want to see that, how does this run in parallel? Well, let's just run it in 4 browsers in parallel. Maybe my notebook will not handle that, but I just saved that and we run that. Okay, it's running. Those are webhooks. We know that already. We can click on the eye, and there are 4 browsers running in parallel. Next feature we want to implement is load testing. So you just say, okay, give me 100 browsers, please, in 5 minutes, and execute that test case. The reporting platform is there, dashboard is there, test modification is there, reporting is there, PDF download is there. So it's just a small feature that we add, and you can do load testing with Comida.
What will you be using for load testing?
I've been using JMeter in the past. Yeah, but this is, I think it's a useful feature because you have all your test cases already here, and JMeter to create tests in JMeter is kind of, they have a recording feature, but you always have to work on those test cases. And I've spent so many hours on JMeter tests, on creating JMeter tests. So I would prefer to have my business department maintain those tests and create and enhance other tests. And, oh, okay, so it's gone.
So will you be converting the Selenium test into, or will you be using those front-end tests for the load testing? What is the strategy around the load testing? What are you thinking about?
Well, Comida's there, it already executes test cases as we've seen. So I would just add to my test definition an input field.
So spin up more browsers.
Just spin up 100 browsers. Browser Stack will love that feature. Source Labs also.
Ralf, I have a question. Like, you set up the infra in like 10 minutes or so, but it's kind of something which is customizable. It cannot be specific for a specific organization or a use case, right? So, how easy it is to customize that infra within the framework itself?
Okay, you want to what do you want to customize?
For example, for CI/CD, I might not use Jenkins. I might use Circle CI. For
Circle CI. Okay.
device forms, I might use something else. For a browser, I may have a requirement where I may want to use a Safari, right? So, how easy it is to customize the infra setup? That is what you showed. Basically.
Okay, the backend is based on a REST API. So if you know how to automate REST APIs, you can integrate Comida from there. And we have example scripts that do the Jenkins or GitLab integration. We have example scripts for integrating Discord and Slack. So that's up to you. It's open, it's readable, it's source code. So I think it is flexible like hell. I don't know. Yeah. You need more browsers. Comida is open to connect to any browser provider, any browser testing provider, Source Labs, Browser Stack, you name it, we integrate it. More questions?
So I think you exported a JSON to create the test case, right? So is there some other ability to write the test case? Is it like, do you have a record feature, or how is the other way of writing the test cases?
That is something where we have to get better. That is something that is not well thought. Interoperability of the test cases with other test providers. Yeah, so if you have like playwright tests and could just export the playwright test and then import that into Comida, that would be really, really cool. But there has been no need for that up to now, so we didn't do it. Remember, just 2 people.